Hello guys, Matt Lemke here with Through Gamer Goggles, gamer-goggles.com, and today I have another flip through for you. This one is on Coriolis, the Third Horizon from Free League, which is published by Modifius Entertainment. And I'll be right back. First, I have to thank whoever sent this to me. The little story behind this book is that it came to me in the mail from the UK just before Christmas. I'm not really sure if Free League sent it to me, Modifius sent it to me, or just a fan who wanted it reviewed, or somebody who wants me to share it. But it came prepaid, and I've got a pretty sweet little book to share with you guys. The Third Horizon is published. Ooh, looks like my copy got beat up a little bit. The design team is, well, let's zoom in on the design team. Thomas Herenstam, my bad. Niels Carlin, Costa Costalos, and Christian Granath. I hope that I didn't butcher your names, guys. If I did, I'm sorry. And then, real quick, the history is that two ships basically leave Earth and go out into the universe to arrive at what is known as the Third Horizon. Generations later, a ship arrives, and that ship is the Coriolis. Did I say it right? Yep. Coriolis, which they gut and turn into a space station, but we'll come back to that in a second. What they discover is that there's already humans living in this system here. This is a star system with 36 planets. And basically what has gone before is the humans arrived here years before the people of the Coriolis have arrived, and they were free thinkers and radicals, and basically they were ostracized from the First and Second Horizons, which attacked them, and the people of the Third Horizon decided to destroy the portals that allowed them to come here and settle the Third Horizon. And now they're recovering from war. A new alien race has appeared from the darkness of space, so to speak. And the new humans that have arrived have done two things. They've settled a jungle planet, and then all of the other humans that split from the faction, or they split in their own little factions, and they destroyed, or not destroyed, let's say rebuilt the Coriolis into a space station. It is now a massive space station in the Third Horizon. Now there's this, well, we'll get into more lore later, but basically that's where you arrive as players and a crew. You arrive at that point in time where there's all these different war-torn worlds, there's these different political factions within the Third Horizon, so there's a lot of different ways you can play the game. What else do you need to know about it? Well, Coriolis became a new home for all the factions. Basically, there's this big council, which are a senate, and it sets the stage for all this different types of political turmoil. And we'll come back and we'll touch on some of that more later as we get into the rest of the book. The book is a beast. I mean, it's 378 pages, which is a lot of pages for a new system. Many rule books are condensed with a lot of rules, whereas this one is not. So what you're going to need to play is one of the first things you're going to see in the book, and that is dice, maps, plans, characters, character sheets, all that fun stuff. Now, there are different types of rules, and there's a brief introduction to all the different societies and guilds and things of that nature right here before you get into characters. Now, before I go any farther, I think it's important to note that this system builds off of the same system that is from New Mutant Zero, or Ground Yeah, mutant year zero. I think I said 0 year before. And Tales from the Loop. So if you're familiar with either of those two systems, this dice pool system is not going to be that different. It does offer you a couple of new things. But real quick, before we get into some of those things, for those of you that do not know how the system works, it's basically going to be you have your attributes, which are strength, wit, agility, and empathy. And you have ranks or levels of 1 to 5, which as your character matures, you can dump experience points into them to build. And then you have generic skills and advanced skills. And the way a skill check works is you take your attribute number plus your skill level number, and you roll that many d6s, and 6s are successes. Now, you might be like, man, that's not that good if I have a low skill and a low attribute. And I go, well, but that's kind of why you play with a crew. But there is a little bit of a saving grace here. You could pray to your icon, so to speak, and you can re-roll all of your fails. But by doing so, you grant your GM a dark points token. This is, by the way, one of my favorite pictures in the book. There's just something, I don't know, it's really more about the color, I think, than anything, than what this little picture says, but I really love the way the reds are glowing and stuff. Dark point. And he gets to decide whether or not he's going to rain more havoc down on you at a later point in the game. That's basically how that works. There are also, well, before we get too far, I'm already into characters, so that's what we're kind of flipping through here. But there's also sets of talents. But before I even get into talents and defining your characters more, this game actually suggests that you create your party or crew, as it's called in Coriolis, at the same time, so that you guys can decide what role your character is going to play. So, and when I say play, think of that role on a ship. So there's pilots, gunners, crew workers, and things of that nature. And basically each player will fill that. Now, unlike other role-playing games, your class does not necessarily define your role in the game. That's where this system differs a little bit from like your traditional Dungeons and Dragons, where your fighter can fill the role of meat shield or tank or however else you want to play it, or your rogue is your skill monk, or some of these can really defeat that because, for example, there are a plethora of classes in this game, and one of the things that I want to do is I think I want to play a preacher. Who is, I don't know, maybe he's the pilot, maybe he's the gunner. That would depend on me and the crew that we're building together. And your crews also have a theme. So you might be mercenaries, you might be explorers, and you're going out to do all these different things. So you pick the preacher, and the preachers are basically convinced that the third horizon is the promised land, which, when we get into one of the other things that sets Coriolis apart, we're going to find out that that's not necessarily how the rest of the cultures and societies perceive it. But over here you have ascetic, missionary, and prophet. So I kind of think it would be fun to play a missionary who is countless souls wander aimlessly through the horizon, but you have a chance to save at least a few of them. Basically, this guy's like a cultist. I mean, he's leading people to what he believes is the horizon or the promised land, and the rest of society doesn't. So I think that would be a fun character to play. So that brings us to the next, I guess, rules concept that I think is really cool within Coriolis, and that is the mind point stat, or mind checks, however you wish to say it. And basically, as you take your will plus your empathy, and that gives you your base score for mind points. And anytime you enter combat or somebody attempts to manipulate you, you have to make a manipulation check. And if you fail that check, you lose 1 mind point. When you get to 0, you kind of, the best way to describe it without going crazy on detail is basically by saying the rest of the session your character is a kind of a mindless zombie type of creature who's not been possessed but been drained of energy. So you're just kind of, I don't want to go as far as saying you're a vegetable, but you're basically useless to your crew, which could be bad if you're the gunner or the pilot and you're flying towards a star. Now here are the stats and the advanced skills here. You have culture, command, data Jin. Command is you're the leader. And you know, one of the things that you might have noticed already is that the art is very thematic throughout the whole book. They do a very good job of keeping it that way. The other thing that I should mention before I delve more into the art and the theme of the book is there are different talents, and you start with 3 of them. There's a group talent. Your group gets to choose 1 talent connected to your concept. So for free traders, you get these different ones. Mercenaries have a choice between assault, charge, and situational awareness. There's icon talents, as you know, every PC has a random icon or your god, your deity, and you get a different talent based off of those. And then there's general talents, which you can learn more of as time goes on, and those can be anything. And basically talents, they're not skills, they're like 1 step above a skill. That's probably the best way to do it. And then there's humanite talents, which are basically for like a mutant type of person or somebody who's been altered in some way. And there's more information way back here on page 22 about that. And back to the art. So as you may not have caught it yet, but a lot of this art is influenced by the Middle Eastern culture in science fiction, and basically even earlier on in the book they say that this is basically Arabian Nights meets space travel and exploration. So keep watching. There's another great picture. This one actually tells a really sweet story. Guy was jumping off of something, firing up in the air while he's shooting, or he used a gun so big he knocked himself on his butt. And then combat's fairly simple. It's I would say this is not necessarily a combat-based system. It's a system where a lot of what you want to do is solve problems. And we are going to jump through. There is plenty of equipment in here, but okay, so we're into equipment at page 100. Combat ends at roughly around page 104 is where the gear starts. And out of a 378 page book, the first 100 pages are roughly an introduction and character creation. That's the meat of the rules. This is, well, there's still some rules in here because there's shipbuilding, but a good bit of this is chapter upon chapter about things like the icons and the planets and all of the other fun stuff. So I am going to jump over weapons and equipment. Many of us are familiar with spaceships, Star Wars, Star Trek, and we know how that works. And I'm going to go through spaceships and star travel just a little bit. I'm just touching the tip of the iceberg here. So travel between the stars requires portal jumps. And if you're not good at this, I don't recommend you continue to doing it, because this chart right here is for failed jumps. If you fail a jump, there's a good chance that you will TPK yourself as players, because your ship might just simply disappear into the horizon and never be seen from again, or be seen from in another horizon and probably get blown out of the sky. So there's all kinds of rules. There's like I think 19 different weapon systems in. Well, here you go. Here's a good look at your weapon systems for the game, and all these different. I mean, the amount of detail that they put into developing spaceships is way out there. I mean, it's detailed. It's a little bit overwhelming, and I want you to get that impression. That's why I'm being long-winded and exaggerating. And then here's your different trim packages or frame styles of those ships. They have a whole section on space combat before they move into the horizon. And the last, I don't know, this is page 181 and there's 360. The last 180 pages of the book pretty much are on the third horizon. The different factions and the tension created by the authors and artists to create and tell this story of where the game takes place. There's an entire chapter on the factions, which is where we're at now. You can see the First Come factions, the Zenith factions, different styles of ships. You can see the Arabian Nights type of influence with the clothing. You can see there's the Consortium, there's the Free League, which is a group of traders. I actually love this spaceship. It's one of my favorite ships in the book and pictures in the book. There's the Legion. Are they the ones? I can't remember which one it is. Like I said, I got this just before Christmas and I read through as fast as I could while starting the Syndicate, which is, these guys actually don't have a seat at the council. They are not welcome there, obviously, probably because of shady dealings, right? And then there's the Zenithian hegemony, which is a long line of family descendants that were on from the Coriolis. Basically, they're the pilot family, basically. What else? Church of the Icons. One of these groups is actually, it might actually be the Order of Pariah, is actually a secret order. I kind of think that's very Templar-esque, which I kind of like. The Nomad Federation, they don't have a seat at the council either, I believe. Yeah, they're just a bunch of nomadic fleets that travel and basically live in space. When I was reading it, I kind of equated it to Battlestar Galactica and trying to return home. And then there's a little bit lists of small players, and you move, after you're through the factions, you've got the people of the horizon. And this chapter basically covers all the different races and planets, their different types of technology and style and cultures, all the way down to music. That's how detailed this book gets. It also gets into the 9 icons, which is the Judge, the Traveler, Lady of Tears, the Fearless One, the Messenger, Dancer, Gambler, the Deckhand, and the Merchant. And I'm not going to delve into all these. Here, they all have their own little icons. It kind of reminds me of some of the icons growing up in the Catholic Church, art-wise, And there's a lot that can be said about that, and I can't get into that right now because there's too much detail going into the beauty of the art of iconic stuff. If you want to learn more about it, I would suggest that you do a search on iconic early Christian art, especially within the Orthodox Church. There's all kinds of good reads on that. And then Chapter 11 is about the Coriolis. This is a massive, massive space station. You can easily, as a GM, use this chapter. I mean, look at that. You can easily, as a GM, use this chapter to create all kinds of crazy espionage plots, murder plots. You can have Jack the Ripper plots in Coriolis, and your players never even have to leave it. So if you don't want to build a spaceship, you don't have to. But that is one of the main themes of this role-playing game is space travel. But you can easily spend your whole life traveling on the Coriolis too. It's that populated. And I think, Oh no! There is. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I do want to touch on it. There is. Where is it? Okay, so there's a government within Coriolis, but that's not what I wanted to find. It's right here somewhere. The Kuwa system. It's just about the different planets, the sun, and how it all works. I think they did a really great job of lining up all of the planets for you, or I should say the major players. And then the only other thing that I think might be worth... Well, here's the Atlas of the Third Horizon. That's kind of fun. But I wanted to touch upon... Here we go. I just want to touch upon it because largely I don't want to spoil it for players. There's beasts and Jinni. Or Jinns. Jinni would be plural. And you can see from the art that some of the stuff doesn't look too scary, but some of it does. These little beasts here, some of them are just beasts. That thing doesn't look too pleasant. And then there's constructs, but I mean, look at that. That looks like some kind of bizarre zombie to me. Blood fiends, a genuine Jinn, and all the different stats for that. And then in the back, the very last chapter is a campaign chapter. That is probably my second favorite picture in the book. I really do enjoy the art of Coriolis and everything they have to say. This is I cannot, in 20 minutes, I really cannot tell you how much value there is in this book. It is one of the most complete core sets or core books to a role-playing game that I've seen in a long time. It has all the rules you need to play the game. If you've played the Free League dice pool games before, you're familiar with the system already, and they've added some quirky mechanics. Well, they're not quirky, but good mechanics to give this very, very unique flavor. And then on top of that, the detail that they have put into the worlds is absolutely stunning. So who is this book for? Anybody who loves space travel and wants to play in a setting that gives you a ton of sandbox freedom or a ton of freedom to create either a hack and slash style game or a balance between a hack and slash style game and puzzle solving or complete puzzle solving or political intrigue. There is no way to be held back by this system if you are half creative. Thanks for watching, guys. Check it out. Like, subscribe, and share, please. And thank you. And let me know what you think. Did I miss anything? Did I get anything wrong? Because I only read it once. Let me know. Talk to you later. Hi, guys. Meet the Nibbles, who's gonna go down. She just decided not to go down my back, so we'll do this for her so she's comfy. Thanks for watching my video, and I appreciate it. Please hit the like button and share it if you know somebody who might be interested. And of course, there's always Twitter and the Facebook thingy, and soon I have a newsletter coming. That'll be down there or in a link below, and my kitty cat loves that idea. So anyway, there was one more thing. Oh yeah, subscribe. Be a part of my community, our community. Let's make it grow together. See you guys at a con somewhere, or a local store, or if I'm driving through the country, maybe a game club. I don't know, you're not going to go knock down my camera. Bye, guys.